Welcome back to the T.H.R.I.V.E Show. I'm your host, Patrick Summers, my co-host, Mike Acosta.
Hello, buddy.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Always great to be with you on the T.H.R.I.V.E Show.
Yeah, having a lot of fun.
It's been awesome.
Hopefully impacting lives,
Yeah.
getting some information to people.
It's, what are we, this episode number 8, I believe it is?
Yeah, I believe it is.
That's crazy.
I know.
Time flies when you're goofing off. Is all I'm saying.
Sure does.
Yeah.
I was talking to some technicians. I travel and I get to talk to a lot of technicians, a lot of people in the field.
Mm-hmm.
And the topic always, a lot of times, is money, income, right? Obviously, people get up and go to work every day for many reasons, but one of the main reasons is they need to support their family. They have goals and ambitions. And a lot of the times, it's about how do I make more money? How do I get here? How do I do that? And so one of the questions I'll always ask is, well, what's your target for this month? Or what's your target for this year? They'll be like, well, what do you mean? I said, how much revenue are you going to do? How much revenue are you going to bring the company you work for or your company, right? Well, I don't know. Okay, well, how much do you want to make? How much are you making now? And they'll throw out a number. How much do you want to make? Okay, well, there's a gap, right? So you can get there. Mm-hmm. But if you don't know, right, if you don't know what your target is, right, you can't fill that gap. And it goes back to, we talked a few episodes back about my passion for aviation and the aviate, navigate, communicate. This ties into, you could assign this to the navigate, right? You've got to know where you are and where you're going, and what has to be done to hit your targets. And so if someone, let's say, wants to add $25,000 to their yearly income, well, how are you going to do it? Now, here's the great thing. When you work in an organization or a company where you might have a salary or an hourly rate, but you also have performance bonuses, incentives, and things like that. And my feeling is, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're working at a supermarket, you're working in the trades, or you're working on Wall Street. If you don't have some sort of performance incentive, some sort of bonus, some sort of way for you to make more than this base, go find someplace else to work, right? And maybe before that, build your argument and present it.
Okay.
Because if you can make things happen for an organization, for a company, and you can show how you can increase their revenue and their profitability, then there should be a reward for you, right?
Well,
and
don't you make yourself more valuable to them as well?
Exactly, 100%. And any great organization knows that, and that's why there's a lot of performance structures in there and things. If you're just an hourly rate or salary, you know what you're making. Right? And if you want to make that $25,000 extra, $50,000 extra, $10,000 extra, whatever it is, you're going to have to go get another job. Uber, deliver pizzas, whatever it is. However, if you have a way to be rewarded for performance and bonuses and things like that, man, sky's the limit. That's why in the episodes with Francisco, we talked about sales, because they decide what they're going to make. Right? So, But what I'm surprised is when I talk to technicians and even salespeople, they don't have targets. They might say, oh, I want to sell this much this year, or I want to do this much in service this year. I'm like, okay, what's your target this month? Well, I don't have it. I don't know. So, well, you're going to hit your target then, right? You're going to have great success hitting your target because you just have to hit air, right?
Right.
So in doing that, I started thinking, like, you know what? When I was a technician, every month, before the month started, I wrote down how much I was going to do in service revenue, how much I was going to do in maintenance revenue, how many club memberships, right, I was going to get a customer interested in, how many lead turnovers I was going to have, how much in IAQ sales I was going to do. I listed everything out, and I hit a target. I said, this is what I'm going to do. And then I knew what my performance bonus could be for hitting those targets.
Gotcha.
So I'm like, okay, if I want this, and I even broke it down to, I might get 2 calls a day, I might get 6 calls a day to run. it depends on the time of year and how busy it is. But I said, okay, I need a minimum of this many, 3 calls a day. And can I hit my target with that? So what I did was I went ahead and I said, okay, I was doing that. Why isn't everybody doing that? Well, the reality is it's the same reason when Francisco shared about not having any money in his account going through the drive-thru, because nobody teaches you, right? Nobody teaches you. It's not somebody in school, they're like, hey, let me show you how to be uber successful.
Exactly.
Right? Because no knock on teachers or anything, but they show up and they do their job. They've got a salary, an hourly rate, right? And so they know what they know. When you get out into the business world, the real world, man, the rules are different. Did you find that?
Life comes at you, and then sometimes life punches you right in the nose. And it's, okay, are you going to pick yourself up by your bootstraps? And then a lot of the times, you don't have that plan until after you get knocked down. And then you're like, okay, clarity. This is what I have to do. And like Francisco said when he joined us, that was the moment that he went, all right, I need to change my life.
Yeah. And you know, to that point, like, something is the catalyst for change.
Always.
Right? So what I want to do is I really want to, one of the things with this podcast is I really want to deliver phenomenal value to our listeners, right? Hey, they're supporting us, and hopefully we're delivering value in just the podcast, but I actually want to give them something tangible. So we're going to start building out as we do episodes and we talk about different things, some different assets they can get, like download off our website, and not just talk about what we did, but say, okay, here's what I used.
Like a freebie.
Yeah, a freebie, okay. Right? And so, like for this episode, I said, you know what? I need to duplicate my tracker, make it a little bit prettier, right? Because I had my own system down. It aligned with how I think, and sometimes that could be a crazy little cavern, right? I was told don't go down the rabbit hole. Well, so if you get in my head, you're gonna be like, this is one hell of a rabbit hole,
get me out of
right?
here.
So we're gonna have a tracker on our website, all right? And so you're gonna be able to go on there and download it. But the fact of the matter is, like any tool, you have to be able to use it. I mean, in the sense that, and I shouldn't say have to be able to use it. You have to use it. It's like going to somebody's home and they got a bunch of books. Be like, what'd you think of that book? Oh, I haven't read it.
I just need to fill the shelves.
Yeah. It looks good for when I'm on camera or something. You can see all my books, which I love when somebody goes on camera, like the news or something. The books, and you can always read what.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's always like the really sophisticated thinking books. Like, look, oh my goodness. So
Darwin's theory of relativity, or Einstein's theory of relativity. Something.
Yeah. So, on the other side of this break, what we're going to do is we're going to just kind of dive into a little bit of how the theory or the working process, how I came up with the numbers, and then I'll share with you how you can get the downloadable and everything like that, and how to use it.
Awesome.
Happy New Year, Coachella Valley. This is Patrick Summers, President and CEO, General Air Conditioning and Plumbing. Listen, we all know that New Year's resolutions usually don't last, but with proper maintenance and service, your plumbing, electrical, and HVAC system will give you many years of trouble-free service. Give us a call, get it tuned up, get the inspections done. Let's make sure you're good to go all year long. Happy to take care of you. Happy New Year. Let's make this year, 2025, an amazing year. All right. We're back, and Mike, I want to share with everybody kind of my recipe.
I believe this is the first freebie from the Tradepreneur Show, right?
First of many to come.
Oh,
folks,
look at that. You talk about added value right there. No, but it's very interesting because I'm sure there's probably a lot of our listeners and viewers who really may not grasp something like this, and more importantly, what it could possibly do for them if they're in the sales world, or just want to be more productive.
Yeah, and there's people listening that are going to say, hey, man, I already got my thing figured out. This is what I do.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic, right? And look, if something's working, let it keep working.
Yeah.
If you're somebody that's not tracking, it has no idea how to do it or hasn't given any thought, and there's a lot of us out there. I mean, I was one at one time, and I said, man, I need to know. It didn't take me long before I said, I need to know. I need to have my targets. So that's for those individuals. Or an individual may be doing it, but they're just writing it in a loose leaf notebook.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And so first the process. You know, I knew what I wanted to make. So I'd have to go 12 months out, right? And I knew what I wanted to do in that 12 months. And then I had to, just like a business has to build a budget. Business decides what it wants to do in revenue. Mm-hmm. And then you have to figure out what you're going to have to do each month. Now, in my particular case, in the trades, in our location, which is the desert in Southern California, I knew that there were certain months that were not going to be as busy as other months, right? Just because, like, if you're in the, December, January, February, I mean, people vacation here because it's so beautiful. Right. So while you do have mornings where you're going to turn on the heater, you don't have a real demand for heating, right? So I know those months are going to be a little softer. Versus if we're going to go into June and it's 120 degrees,
yes,
the demand is high. So I know I'm not going to be running 2 or 3 calls a day. I'm probably going to be running 5 or 6 calls or more a day, which is not great because more is not better, right? But I build that in because I know obviously I can hit target easier in those months. So you have to take that into consideration for wherever you are in the country and for whatever you are specifically doing. You may be somebody that is in I don't know, the cosmetology or something, and where you do your cosmetology, right? You have a season with people coming to vacation. And so you're going to get a lot busier in that season than you are when you're not in that season. So with that said, you have to know your numbers. You have to know your market. You have to know what's reasonable and when you're going to be busy. And then you build it out. So don't put a target that is crazy hard to hit when the demand's not there. But also don't lay down, right? Make it an achievable target. But so you back into it. So you know what you want to make in the year. Okay. Now if you get an hourly,
you're reverse engineering.
You're reverse engineering it, right?
Okay,
and
gotcha.
if you have an hourly rate or some sort of base,
right,
you got to figure that out, right? Now you know what you're going to make just showing up and doing your job as you should. Now you got the gap. You got the gap between what that's going to deliver and where you need to be. And if you have historical data, because you've been doing this for a while, whether it's a year, the year before, a couple of years before, or a couple months before, because you're new, look at that data, see what you've done. And then you got to ask yourself, am I really performing to the level that I should perform or could perform? But then, you reverse engineer it, back it in, and then figure out that gap, figure out what you need to do. So now you need to know, based on how you're compensated and what kind of bonus structure you have, you have to know, now you know what you have to do to hit that target. Regardless, you should still have targets, because if you, let's just say you're a salary or you're hourly, whatever way you get compensated, and there's no bonus structure in place or incentive or commissions or anything, like whatever you want to call it, you do want to build a case to be able to go to your employer and say, look at what I've done. And one of the things, that's the worst thing you can do is go into your employer, your supervisor, whoever it is, and say, I would like to talk about a pay increase. And then and not have anything to support it.
Say no leg to stand on, or they look at you and they say, why?
Yeah. And then when you do say, I say, well, okay, that's great. Tell me why you feel you should get a pay increase.
Yep.
And this is the number one reason given in my experience. Well, I've been here this amount of time. I've been here a year, or I've been here 6 months, or it's been this long since my last increase. Excuse me, the world don't work that way, right? So you get to move up to another grade in school.
Results.
So even if you want to make more money, or you want an opportunity to get to a different position,
yeah,
this is how. Just the fact that you would be doing this and building this out,
right?
That shows somebody who's thinking, showing leadership, showing initiative, showing disciplined and doing all the things to better themselves. But you basically, in this tracker, I don't want to go into a lot of detail here because individuals listening to this, it's going to be different, right?
Well,
you
yeah,
might,
sure.
if I have somebody here that's in HVAC, there's going to be certain categories of revenue they track, right? There may be somebody listening to this that's in car sales, right? And they're going to track things a little bit differently, right? Maybe they're going to be, somebody here is going to be talking about club membership sales in the trades and the HVAC. Car dealership may be talking about a paint protection, right?
Okay.
Or a service plan or a warranty. So the cool thing is this will be designed that it can be customized based on what your numbers are or what your categories are. So in HVAC, yeah, you're going to have IAQ. That's indoor air quality, right?
Yeah.
But if you're an electrician or you do electrical, that might be surge protection, for example, right? Something like that. So it's gonna, but what it's gonna do is it's gonna allow you to hit your target, put your targets out there, what you want for the month, and then what you need to be, and kind of engineer yourself into that month, and you hit the targets. And at the end of the day, look, if you don't have targets, I mean, come on. I mean, you got to know what you're shooting for. And look, I'm not saying everybody has to wake up and be like, I want to be the king of the world. But that came from the Titanic, isn't it? Like, I'm like, what is the king of the world? What is the king of the world? Anyways, I don't know.
I'm holding you in front of the ship.
So, anyways, there's probably people listening like, what is the Titanic and what movie is that? So, like, I cannot stress how important it is to have targets in life, right? And if you're getting up every day and you're going to a job, a career, whatever you want to refer it to, if you're serious about it, set targets because truly the sky is the limit. I started as an entry-level technician at $10 an hour. $10 an hour. And I think I shared this, but I'll never forget Frank Harrison said to me, now don't worry about the money. There's other ways to make money because they had some incentive structure in place, right? And I said, I never took a job for money. I've always taken it for the opportunity, right? And so if you don't feel that way about your job, it's probably time to go find another job, find something that drives you. But regardless, as long as you're going to be there, know the numbers, know the targets, have something you're incentivized about. Hell, you could be a clerk at a convenience store. Set a target of how many people you're going to make smile that day.
That's a great target.
You know? Yeah. Well, especially a convenience store.
Sure.
It's not that hard.
No.
Most convenience stores, you could set a target of, I'm going to shock the shit out of people, and that's, you just say hello and do a little like, or have the hot dogs ready, for God's sakes. How many convenience stores I go into, and they got the hot dog thing, there's no hot dogs ready. I'm like, how hard do you put the hot dog on the thing? It spins, it cooks, and then guess what? If at the end of the day nobody buys any hot dogs, throw them the hell out. Like it's not, or give them to the homeless guy around the corner. But it's just customer service. Have a purpose, have a target. I'm getting a little off base here. Sometimes I do that. This is a rabbit hole I told you about. But you know what? Alice went down a rabbit hole, and man,
she found her hot dog.
Yeah.
You know, how can, which way are you offering the download of the what you've been talking about here?
So the tracker, the goal sheet and tracker, you can go to the show notes, and in the show notes there's a link. You just click the link; it's going to take you right to it.
Super easy.
Yeah, super easy. Or you can go to our website. I don't know if anybody knew we had a website, but we do have a website, and surprisingly enough, it's thetradepreneurshow.com.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I want to make everything easy. You know, I want to keep it easy. So, anyways. With that said, you know, I always love doing these podcasts. I have a lot of fun. I really am motivated. My goal, we talk about, you know, have goals, have purposes. Like, there's a lot of work that goes on to put on this podcast. I knew there would be. I didn't know how much. Yeah. Thankfully, there's an amazing team helping with that. But, like, I have a goal for this podcast, and every single episode, my goal is to come and give it my all, and to get and keep at it, to be able to impact people's lives. I really want to impact people's lives. I love when I can run into somebody. I used to teach these classes on technician. It's called Service Essentials. And nothing made me happier when I got an email or a phone call from either the individual or their employer. So, Patrick, this guy came back. His numbers are through the roof. His attitude is so much better. Like, I was like, man, that's why I take 2 days of my life and would teach that class, right? And let me tell you, when you teach a class, the first time I did it, I was down for 3 days. It was physically and mentally exhausting. But I kept doing it because I was impacting lives, and that's what I want to do with this podcast. And Mike, I want to thank you for joining me on this journey.
I'm so
co-host.
thankful to be here.
I want to
awesome.
thank everybody behind the camera on the other side of this. There is a team that makes this possible. I'm so grateful that they have joined and come with us and believe in what we're doing. And I really appreciate it. If you listen to this podcast, you like it, please share it. Continue to follow us. Send us some questions on the website. If there's something, communicate to us. If there's questions you have, something you want to see, special content or topic, let us know, please. We're also on YouTube at the T.H.R.I.V.E Show. We can be found on social media and anywhere podcasts are found at the T.H.R.I.V.E Show, and the website, thetradepreneurshow.com.